Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Economic Empowerment Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Graeme Speak. And today, can you please introduce yourself?
So I'm Graeme Speak. I'm the CEO founder of a company called BankVault Cybersecurity. So we develop cybersecurity technologies for web logins. And I guess there's about 25 innovations now, 13 patents granted to date. What we do specifically is if you're logging into a website portal with username and password, we make that seamless experience. So you don't need to remember or enter your credentials anymore. It's pretty cool. Very cool tech. Very, very simple to use. Very deep technology under the hood.
Cool.
The competitive advantage, I'll just say the competitive advantage is in our particular technology. There is no software involved. There's nothing for the user to download or install or configure. So it's seamless. Huge advantage in a massive $45 billion market.
Yep. And what are you currently working on?
So right now, it's a derivative of this. And in fact, we're hoping we'll give birth to this in the next few weeks, 2 weeks. It's a way of creating login credentials for a user behind the scenes.
Right.
So they never see keyboard, never know their credentials. It's completely invisible. And so what that will mean is if you go to a website with your phone or on a workstation, it will instantly recognize you and just log you straight in. But there will be no account creation process. That'll be automatic behind the scenes. So this is, I think, is a really sharp competitive edge in this passwordless market. So the passwordless marketplace, as I said earlier, $45 billion segment, growing, some analysts say, anywhere from 15 to 30%.
Yeah, I love how you're just being involved in these startups and stuff like that. So what has inspired you to be an entrepreneur in the first place?
So I'm a creative person. I'm also a technical person. And I think this merges both worlds really nicely. Honestly, I can't think of anything more exciting than to be an entrepreneur because it's the most creative expression of who I can possibly be. I'm stretched beyond my limits every single day. I'm not ever comfortable. It's scary, but I do more living in a day than I think most people would do, honestly, in a year sometimes. So I'm on the edge of my seat, but I'm creating. And because I'm creating, I'm expanding my scope, I'm expanding my influence, I'm expanding my network. And I can ultimately have a fairly significant impact on the people in the world around me. Really key point, though, it's not about the money. I mean, people think entrepreneurs are in there to make a lot of money. Money is just something that actually happens in the process. But the purpose of this is actually, what do you do with your life? What is the purpose of your life? And in my view, it's to contribute. And this is the way that I can contribute the most of who I am.
So what do you think your dream is, if you have to describe it?
I have so many dreams and I'm still chasing them all. Honestly, I think one of the paradoxes of life is if you have a dream and you reach it. I know so many of my friends over the years have kind of attained the goal and then stop and plateau.
Right.
And they're no longer contributing. So one of the paradoxes of life is you're never going to be satisfied, but I keep dreaming ahead. What am I working on? I mean, today it's passwordless authentication. One of my passions is trying to break the business model of people trafficking. It's a big goal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems in the world, and it needs people who can be creative and take risks, never gamble, but take risks to explore other solutions.
I see. And for young people out there who are interested in entrepreneurship, because Gen Z currently are not being as trusted as the previous generations because we are basically the young generation. So what are some necessary qualities that you think that Gen Z should develop to be an entrepreneur?
George, I'll say that you're one of the guys that actually has impressed me so much, which is why we're doing this interview now.
Thank you.
You reached out to me in just in a very clear, straight way about who you were, what you were doing.
Yeah.
You weren't self-centered. You're actually there trying to do things for other people. You wanted some advice and some help. Cost nothing to offer advice, and it was a very nice, simple, humble invitation to connect. And what you're doing is what has impressed me. You're straight, you're honest, you're clearly driven, You're on purpose, and honestly, most people, most adults, want to contribute. You ask for a bit of help, they will help you. They'll give you guidance.
Yep. Yep.
It's actually quite simple, and I mean, basic things that I would that I try to convey to my own kids and young people that I mentor is honesty and integrity is absolutely foundational.
Yep.
Um,
100%. Yep.
Without that, you've got nothing. But you can establish that pretty quickly by being transparent and that you actually apply yourself. If you take on advice and you try, even if it doesn't work, but you give feedback, you tried that. I know you've had a crack at it. And if you've had a crack at it, it's like, oh, you're taking my advice. I'll give you a bit more if I can help you, if I can correct that.
Right. 100%.
Most people, the vast majority of people are really nice. People, we love our animals, we love our families, love our children. It's about contributing to society. So if I think that's it's actually very simple.
Yeah, because for me, I went to a high school that the whole like model was fidelitas integritas, so which transfers to like fidelity and integrity, and it has basically been through my life since then because I realized you have to always tell the truth and the truth only, because then it frees people and liberates people.
Yes.
I think that's one of the most important qualities that entrepreneurs should have, because a lot of them is trying to big themselves up so they can, get the fundings and stuff like that. But it doesn't turn out well at the end.
No, exactly right. And there's a phrase you'll often hear, fake it until you make it. I absolutely never do that. I would never recommend anybody does that. I mean, yes, you can put a positive spin on what you're doing. That's being convincing. But ultimately, the lights come on. Everybody can see what you're doing.
100.
And that is when you want to make sure that what you're doing had total integrity, because this is a long life. The relationships you make now, you'll be running into these people. You'll want to run into these people again later. And everybody knows that you played the game completely straight, in absolute terms.
Yeah,
they'll work with you again. They'll respect you. Yeah, this is actually really important. I think I've been lucky enough to have had that sort of upbringing. And like it shows through very quickly when people aren't being honest.
I think it's quite easy to tell sometimes.
It's people are surprisingly transparent just from the little facial expressions. Straight away if a person's straight or not. And people want to deal with people that they can trust. Trust is a really important foundation. I take it a little bit for granted because I tend to trust people first.
Me too.
I'll also be generous with people because I can afford to be generous. I can afford to give advice or help or whatever. And if people just take without giving much back, after a while, it goes its course and everything moves on.
Yeah.
But what happens every now and again, I get people that reflect back more to me than I can give them.
Right.
And that is taking. And over time, I find myself surrounded by people that are like that. So all of my friends, my colleagues here, they give me more than I could ask for. Like, it's incredible. This is a function of time.
Yeah.
And so people in my life that actually, when I'm having a bad day, I get pulled up. It's really good. Yeah.
And because you're a pro at the cybersecurity industry, so how do young entrepreneurs who doesn't know what their area of interest is, that wants to be an entrepreneur, to identify like where they want to be?
I think it's hard to, when you don't, you're looking out into the fog, it's hard to know where you want to land. Okay. You can't be very far ahead. It's in my opinion, you just start. And you can change course along the way. You'll see a better idea, but it's important just to start. You fix yourself on a problem. If you find an issue somewhere and start working on it, you'll find your passion.
Right.
If you make a difference in the world, you'll find that drive.
Right.
You'll find those solutions. And I will say there's a lot of problems in the world. I was brought up in a family where my father was a bank manager and he's very good at what he did. And I was told that there would be a place for me in the world. I had to just behave, work hard, and fit in. And in fact, what I've discovered is that, yes, there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me in the world.
Yeah.
Those people are really busy.
Yeah.
And they're too busy to solve all the other problems. There's a lot of problems in the world. And any one of us can actually go out there and seize on one of these issues and start working on solving it. And when you start, that is when the fog will clear in front of you and you'll see smarter ways of doing things and you'll make progress.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think anybody can become an entrepreneur. There are some qualities that you probably want to have. Tenacity is a really big one. People who give up at the first or second or third obstacle, probably not going to last at past because there's going to be hundreds of obstacles. It's actually a continuum of obstacles. But over time, you actually can crack through these things. It's like water. Water eventually will, wear the ground away.
Yeah, just pick an area, just dig deep into it. Just don't give up. I think
it is really, it is. And the more you work on a problem and you learn what doesn't work, the smarter you become. Smart people are people who've made more problems, have experienced probably more problems than others that haven't. So, hitting your head against a problem is just part of the process. If you can get some satisfaction from solving small problems, what it does is it builds up your skill base and your experience base that you can actually probably take your head on a larger problem. And in a sense, that's a reward for solving a series of problems as you get a bigger problem to solve.
Yeah, I think I like how you mentioned the obstacle part, because like to even start this channel to interview people, the first 100 emails you're gonna send, it's gonna reach no one. No one's gonna even return to you. And then you'd be like, oh, like, is this actually they want to do this or not? And then you start seeing the rejections email come in. You'd be like, oh, they're too busy and stuff like that. So you just gotta like keep going until you find like a couple people that are willing to do yours, because again, sometimes for entrepreneurship, it's a numbers game. You just gotta try so many times. You can fail so many times. You just need to succeed like once or twice, and then like
And I think a lot of the time we project forward in our own minds. If you send out 100 emails and got no responses, you'd be feeling pretty dejected and flat.
100%. I can tell you that.
There could be a simple technical reason why nobody received that email. Right. Or it could be that people receiving the email literally were not in the market for what you have.
Right.
They're the wrong market. You need to find people that actually are in your target.
100%.
And once you get that, it's like, whoa. And you only need 1 out of 100.
Yeah, and like
suddenly your world changes to Technicolor.
Yeah, and like the thing is, like for the first 100 people I sent an email with, the first email I received is actually a rejection email. But that rejection email powered me through.
Exactly right.
I was like, at least I'm hearing something out of nothing. You know what I mean? Like, at least I'm hearing something. It's not.
I'm in the middle of raising investment right now. Another investment round. I've raised quite a few rounds now, and honestly, to get a clear no thanks very much, we can't for this reason, is just exhilarating for me, because one, I know I've caught their interest. Two, they've digested what I've sent them, and okay, we're not the right fit. That's clear. Not a problem. You've got a clear response, but you've had the engagement, you've had the respect, which is really nice.
Right.
And I know I'm going to do that again. And if I do that 50 times, I'm probably going to get someone that will say yes. So even a negative response is actually something you can actually leverage, and it's how you frame it in your mind.
100%.
If you can frame it in a way that actually inspires you to go on, that's gold, because it's actually about doing the work. You do the work and you get better.
Yep.
And you just need to frame things in a way that inspires you, whatever that is, to actually do the actual work that you need to get done.
I completely agree with you. And since we talked about how to dig into their niche, right? So how do people research to learn about information about like the industry when they're trying to start a company in it?
So in my view, if you're young, you've got the advantage of time in front of you. And you can become an expert in any industry. It used to be within about 3 years. I think now it's a lot less. Yeah, because you can become an expert, honestly, within a few nights using ChatGPT.
And like, yeah, with like YouTube and stuff like that to watch like a 10
Absolutely,
video. Yeah.
absolutely. And then what you now need is you need industry connections. So
Yep.
you need to be talking to people from that industry. You need to develop, you'd want to develop relationships, because those relationships can really help you. You can bounce an idea, you can ask for help, and if people know that you're working on a problem and you
Right.
present yourself as, this is what I do, this is who I am,
Hmm.
people would believe that. And suddenly
Right.
that's what you are. So you can, as an entrepreneur, you can completely create this persona. You believe it within yourself, but you've got to do the work. You actually do have to become a domain expert. But you can do that, obviously, with YouTube, with reading. ChatGPT will answer all your hard questions like that. A little bit of hard work, honestly, within days, you
Yep.
could be as expert as somebody 10 years ago would have been within a year of study.
Yep.
Within days. This is what AI is doing for us. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think although like people profit off of information symmetry and stuff like that, especially in the entrepreneurship world, no one wants to, like, a lot of people don't want to tell you, like, these MBA programs ask you to pay like crazy amount of money to just go in for a 2-year degree. And I think it's just people with the internet, I think now is the barrier is less and less because they can have access to those resources online that people are willing to share with significant less amount of money, I
That
believe.
is absolutely the truth.
And I think it's quite important, right? Because if the internet wasn't in place, no one is going to able to talk to anyone. Like there are going to be so many like trades going on that people are just getting ripped off for no reason. But this just basically connects us.
Yeah, there is an industry, and I don't want to bag the MBA industry, because it does produce some great education. It produces a great network. If you go and do an MBA, you're going to get a network with your peers.
Right.
And that will take you, a couple of years, and a fair bit of money, depending on the university. And there's no doubt that that's valuable. But if you haven't got the money and you haven't got the time to wait, you want to get into it, you can create your own network through Hustle, through
Yeah.
LinkedIn,
Yeah.
by doing, what you're doing, George. You're reaching out to me. We're friends now. This
Yeah.
has happened over the space of a few days, and I feel like I know you very well. Boom, there's your network.
Yeah. Reach out through LinkedIn, through whatever platform you could
Yeah.
to get the best optimal like network you can create to have those people around you. And I
I
think
think
it's important.
I'll say another thing too, it's just coming to mind. So I did start an MBA, and while I was doing my MBA, I had the hardest year of my life. Like when you get locked into the program, you can't withdraw, or you're just going to fail.
Oh,
So you're
yeah, right.
locked in. Locked in. This particular year, my wife was very, very sick, which was really difficult. And I had an accountant. My internal accountant actually tried to subvert me, take over the company without me knowing, and completely destroyed the company. I was lucky I had enough resources to cover everything.
Right.
It was the hardest year of my life. So I will say I haven't finished my MBA yet. But my God, what an experience. Resurrecting the company after that calamity was my MBA. That was really, I earned my salt. I learned so many lessons. And in fact, later, my company, BankVault, became the subject. Well, I think it was a project that the university did, the MBA course did on my company and what had happened and where we would be going. It was so interesting. And when I was actually in one of these lectures with the students, I was fascinated to see that everybody in that MBA class, their aspirations was to get a better job in the middle management in a larger corporate. There wasn't one person in that class that actually wanted to be an entrepreneur. That absolutely shocked me.
Yep.
The same thing, if I'd done this at Stanford University, there would not be one person in the class that would not put up their hand to be an entrepreneur. It's literally just a mindset. So yeah, just a funny thing about MBAs. I think a lot of people do MBAs as a pathway to is kind of moving sideways to a better career. But honestly, I believe that you can do this yourself
Right.
through entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and literally just by applying yourself. If you've got a bee in your bonnet, if you're driven, if you're going to just move hell or high water to do stuff, and you keep doing that consistently, it's inevitable that you'll succeed.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And last of all, like, what is one message that you would want to share with the people who are trying to like start a business?
Find a problem that is a bleeding neck problem, not a nice idea or a cool gadget or something like this, because it will probably suck you dry. And don't cast too far over the horizon. You want a problem that's right at your feet. That you
Right.
solve that problem, you're going to get an immediate return on investment.
Yeah.
And if it's a big problem, you can do it again and again and again, and then give it to other people. That is what will succeed.
Right.
You want to find a problem that what I call a bleeding neck, so that the people are dying for a solution. They'll
Right.
absolutely pay you. You can solve this problem for them. It's worth money.
Yeah.
You get that sort of a problem, it's actually quite easy. That's probably the biggest trick to entrepreneurship, is finding a problem that is not just a nice to have, it's a must.
Yeah. It's a must. Yeah, it's a must to have.
Yeah.
100%. I totally.
One of the pivots, I'll a bit of background on this. When I was first building the company that I'm running now, we were creating a new type of cloud computing platform technology. It was called GoPC. It's very cool. We were building virtual machines. When Amazon was taking 30, 40 minutes, we could build a machine in 1 or 2 seconds.
Mhm.
These are pristine new machines. It was brilliant technology. But the sales cycle was typically 10 months. I'm going to convince you to put your company on our computing platform.
Right.
There's sorts of due diligence, you've got data migrations, there's training, like it's a huge 10-month project.
Yeah.
The pivot for me was taking that same technology and applying it to a different problem.
Yeah.
Because the bank accounts were being hacked,
Yeah.
specifically trust accounts.
Yeah.
So if you're the trustee of a trust account, you are personally liable. You're liable within 24 hours.
Yeah.
If you don't replace the money, which there could be more money in there than your business is worth, then the government actually shuts you down in 48 hours. You're out of business. And in fact, some of the lawyers said, yeah, we'll probably go to jail. That is an example of an acute pain problem or
Yeah.
pain point. And my sales pitch reduced from an elaborate, 4 or 5 line sentence to half a sentence. You stop your bank account being hacked.
Yeah.
You got emotional reaction, you know exactly what we do. You're going to ask, well, how do you do that? It's like, great, let me tell you, I've got you. And our sales cycle reduced from 10 months to 10 minutes. I was also selling it for 10 times the price. And the cost of delivery was 1/10. It was 1,000 times leverage.
Yep.
So this is an example of what happens when you actually find a pain point that is an acute issue.
Yeah.
And people break your door down to get it. Selling that is easy. Selling GoPC was hard. We just changed the name to BankVault. Selling BankVault was easy,
Yeah.
like 1,000 times easier.
100%. 100%. I totally agree with you. And I'm really glad that like people on this platform can hear it, because I think when they want to be entrepreneur, they can really nail down on this message. I think it's really, really, really important.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you again for coming on this podcast and for this interview. It's always nice talking to you. Thank you.
No worries, George. Really great talking to you as always too. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thank you.